All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, and I'm here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with Dave DeFore. Dave, the season's over. How are you doing?
I'm bummed out.
You're sad.
I am, for the first time. This was one of my favorite seasons. I didn't know what was going to happen all year, you know. We kept getting surprise after surprise. So I'm
sorry, Dave. Were the Celtics not a preseason favorite to win the title?
They were, but
okay.
I thought we were going to get one more surprise in it this season. And the Celtics would have been the perfect team to drop a 3-0 lead. It would have just been magic.
Yeah.
But
so not 2 weeks ago, you were saying how much you're happy when there's no basketball because you're taking walks and you're reading. I
like the time
and
off.
Also, you've said controversially that in a playoff series, when one team has proven that they're superior, you're like, let's just get this over with.
Until we get to the finals.
Oh, until the finals. The finals is the exception.
That's right.
Just want to draw it out a little bit. Okay.
Yeah. Also, this series I thought was more interesting than people gave it credit for. Boston clearly had the talent advantage, but there was a lot happening. You know, there were a lot of wrinkles to the series. So I was looking forward to what game 6 and 7 could have looked like if Dallas didn't, roll out a dud.
Tell me now what it would have looked like. Let's say the Mavericks somehow
I don't know.
Piece together. I mean, I don't even know what to piece together for game 5. So let's say the Mavericks don't give up what felt like a college basketball / high school basketball into the first quarter where the other team steals the ball from the dribbler 4 straight times or something and scores on
Finals
layups.
MVP Peyton Pritchard hits the 2 most important shots.
And then should I give this away first? Let's talk about Peyton Pritchard before breakfast. Peyton Pritchard, half court shot specialist. Do you know how many shots Peyton Pritchard made in non-garbage time within 34 feet of the basket in the finals?
0.
By my count, Peyton Pritchard was 0 for 12 within 34 feet of the basket in non-garbage time. If we include garbage time, let's be real, there were some blowouts in this series.
There were.
Just flat out, his stats for the finals. Peyton Pritchard, final stats. He was 5 for 27 from the field.
God. He took 27 shots.
Isn't that not amazing?
Good for him.
Yeah.
He only took 1 in game 5.
Yeah, he took 1 shot in game 5.
26 shots in the first 4 games.
Yeah, he was. Oh, I'm sorry. Those numbers were without the half quarters. He was 7 for 28 overall, okay. 5 for 26 if you don't count the 2 made half quarters. He missed his first 8 shots of the series and then banked in that near half quarter in game 2. He then missed his next 7 shots in the series. So he started off the finals 1 for 16, finishes 7 for 28, but he has a specific role. It's making half quarters. Can I just say, I'm going to get a steak and eggs best thing out of the way, Dave, before breakfast. Maybe my favorite part about the entire finals, specifically about game 5, was the fact that the Celtics were instantly rewarded for Peyton Pritchard taking a heave, whereas the Mavericks were punished into the first quarter.
That's
Dante
right.
Exum preserving his field goal percentage.
Unbelievable, Keith.
The immediate
I was watching this game. I was watching this game with a bunch of old guys, 70s and 80s, like years old.
Oh, okay.
Basketball guys, some legends. So I was watching this with an old basketball coach.
Okay.
Into the first quarter, Exum gets the ball. I'm like, he's not getting it off. He's not going to get the shot off. They could not believe it that he didn't heave it. They could not. They were besides themselves. That's what they said. Oh, well, Dallas is going to lose.
It's just, so LeBron James maybe started this. I'm not sure. Kevin, LeBron James does not take heaves, Kevin Durant does not take heaves. Like the Phoenix Suns this year, I think took no heaves. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but honestly, it was like two. It was like 2 or 3. It's a shocking number. The number of heaves that go in, it's very, very low.
Yeah.
The odds of Dante Exum making an 80-foot shot, we're talking, I don't know, 1% chance.
Almost, yeah, not even one. Yeah.
But that's the principle of the matter. Meanwhile, you have Peyton Pritchard, who made 2 in the finals.
A man's got to have a code, Keith.
The idea that you wouldn't just try to score, because so many of the times when the guys dribble the ball out, it's like, I was trying to shoot it, but I was just a hair late. Dante Exum's was funny because he was like, oh, I'm going to dribble it. I'm going to be a hair late. Oh, no, there's still 1 second. There's a full second left. And then he just held it. No,
but he's got free agency to think about this summer, Keith. Yeah. And that one heave might drop his 3-point percentage from the finals.
Dante Exum was 4 out of 6 on 3-pointers in the finals. The man shot a scintillating 67% on the world's biggest stage.
That's right.
Give me my next contract. No, the immediate punishment of one team doesn't take the heave, the other team takes the heave and makes it. That was my Super Bowl. That was my, like, this is the ethics of the game. I love it.
You seem like someone who grew up going to church a lot. I'll just say that. You like the punishment.
My church was not, Dave, we were not works based.
Comeuppance?
No, it's grace. No, we didn't have a comeuppance rule. That was not what I was taught.
That was not your thing. Oh, good. Okay.
Honestly, here's the thing.
I was from the South.
I was taught a lot of bad things, like a lot of internalized misogyny and things like from my church. But I got to say on the big things, my church did a good job.
Okay.
It was all about like, hey, the Bible's very explicit. You should take care of poor people and widowers and prisoners and immigrants and refugees, and you should love everybody. That's all they said constantly. So imagine my horror when I grow up in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So like, hey, you guys are opposed to everything. That's weird. Anyways,
it's
God, we lost listeners. 10 minutes in, Dave.
If you read the book, it does get weird.
Explicitly, and all it says is let the immigrants and refugees in. That's all the whole Bible said over and over and over.
It was a manual.
It's really very straightforwardly says you should forgive all debts. All debts should be erased.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
good book by David Graeber, by the way, if you haven't read it. Debt.
So I don't know. Maybe my retaliation is I want immediate karmic punishment for people not shooting full court shots.
What would be another example? Like, what's something? Is it like the take foul, right? It's really it's about being honest to the game, right? Like honest to the sport, because it is a sport. It's supposed to be competitive.
Oh yeah,
we hate tanking. Like you and I are very much aligned on this. Losing on purpose defeats the whole point of the thing.
Yeah, it ends the game.
So like a take foul, which is a smart play, but I don't know. I don't think it's like a cheap play. Like,
well, I do think there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that if we want to tie into our basketball ethics, my basketball ethics, your basketball ethics, there are some things I enjoy about the Celtics winning the title.
Oh yeah,
which is just like they didn't necessarily tank. You could say they tanked, but like they've been going hard at it for a while. So there's the chipped away at it for a long time. They aggressively made moves for a while. They traded to get all these players. They traded for Horford. They paid a price to bring in Derek White. They paid a price to bring in Drew Holiday.
They brought Horford back.
They're paying the luxury tax. They're not skimping. They're not trying to save overtly. Like there's a lot to like for my certain basketball ethics. But
Tatum and Brown being able to stick together for all this time. It's a really good story.
I did find it funny. They were like, this is the most on the broadcast. This is the most games ever played by any two players before winning a title. They kept saying that like that was a big accomplishment. That's a good example of perseverance. That's not a good thing. That's not a good stat.
But it's also not a bad thing.
Well, it's good for narrative. It's good for showing patience, but also when they made a whole graphic that filled up the whole screen. That's like the youngest player to do this or the greatest so-and-so to do this.
Well, they started putting you with Karl Malone and John Stockton. And after a while, you are like, oh, okay. So you win a lot, but you're kind of a loser. You're the chief.
We're not rings culture here, Dave.
No, but no. But I'm saying once they do that, they're essentially saying, "Oh, you've played all these playoff games with no ring." But it's not a bad thing.
So James Harden now has the most career playoff games of active players. Of course,
well, never winning a ring
to win a ring. What if he joins the Celtics next year on the minimum?
Next year, yeah.
We've gotten carried away.
I know.
Let's talk about breakfast. We're supposed to start the show with breakfast, Dave. What have you had for breakfast?
Yeah, I had like about 170 grams of some strawberry low-fat yogurt or no-fat
nice.
yogurt. Greek yogurt. It was very good. Did some again, it's berry season. I've become I am a blueberry guy. I just eat them every day.
They're great.
So throw, a handful of blueberries and cut up some strawberries because it's strawberry season. Throw them in the yogurt. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we should have gone over.
My dog is rolling in strawberries right now.
Oh, by the way, so last episode, you're talking about how your dog loves strawberries. I was thinking, wow, it seems like that'd be bad for a dog. Just in ignorance. There's always these weird things. Someone dropped in the Slack channel that's like, oh yeah, strawberries good for dogs. Grapes poison.
Yeah, there's an oil in the skin of the grape.
Okay.
The other thing, like onions are bad for dogs. Garlic, anything that thins the blood is dangerous for dogs.
Oh, gotcha.
So you have to be careful about stuff like that.
All right.
And then the skin of avocado and the pit of an avocado.
Well, a pit.
Avocado.
The pit's where's that? Got nowhere to go in a dog.
I feel like that's more of a choking hazard than
seems like it.
Like it's poisonous. But
I said I should have compared show notes. I had basically the same breakfast. I just had.
Ooh.
I had.
Nice. Do you ever do granola in your yogurt?
I don't buy granola much. Granola / making a parfait is my travel move when I'm in Vegas. In just a few weeks for NBA Summer League. My normal hotel breakfast is to get the parfait. $9 parfait down at the down in the lobby. Yeah, I
like a good something like a flax cereal or something like that in there. Like I used to like grape nuts like as a kid in yogurt. That was it's one of the few ways I can.
That's a tough man eating grape nuts without soaking them in milk first. That's
Do you like to chew gravel?
Yeah, that's how you turned out how you are. That's it. I had yogurt with blueberries. So there you go.
Yeah, nice. Look at that. A little show synergy.
Also, by the way, talk about raspberries. We got some more raspberries. These are the biggest raspberries I've ever seen in my life.
So they're good for nothing because they're going to be gross and like.
Well, so I mean, honestly, they're so big they have nearly like a strawberry texture. This is the strangest.
Really?
I don't know. Is this HGA? Is this some kind of growth hormone?
Have these genetically modified the
raspberries to stay fresh longer? I don't know.
Can they do it so they just don't get mushy immediately? That's what I need.
That's all we're shooting for.
A firmer raspberry. That's all we want.
Those were
an apple or something.
Our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we move to our breakfast in bed. Apologies. This is usually my chance to make right what I might have gotten wrong in a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA, but we've already done some of that. I have one small apology. It was something that happened in the YouTube version of the episode. I edited it out for the audio version. I made a mistake. I was just talking about game 2, and I was thinking the Mavericks had cut that lead to a single bucket. I thought they got within 3. They only got within 5 at the end of game 2, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm forgetting already.
Thought it was 1.
Or was it game 3? It was the one. No, game 3. It was game 3 where then there's the block shot where they could have cut it to 3. So I edited that out of the YouTube version. For those of you who only watch the YouTube version, I'm sorry for misremembering it. You basically corrected me subtly.
Did I?
You did it how a professional does it. Sometimes there's big errors where you're like, you misspoke. Let me set the record straight.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like, I'm just broadly reconstructing the game, and I said like got within a bucket, and then later you were like they cut it to 5 and then had the chance to get within 3, and that was like, oh yeah, Dave's right.
Oh yeah, so, that was on the Derek White
the Derek White block
dunk. Yeah.
I also love
53 and a half seconds left.
I know, there's always subjective criticisms of like the announcers, but I actually really liked, I think it was JJ Redick who pointed it out, where he removed the caveat about Derek White. He's like, he's one of the best shot blockers, not for a guard. He's just one of the best shot blockers in the NBA. Just flat out. He had another one. He had an unbelievable dunk of Derek Lively, where it's just like, oh, incredible stuff.
Amazing timing.
Amazing timing.
I have to think it's like the crossover with Danny Green, the whole San Antonio thing, you know.
Oh, you think there's a San
Got a
Antonio
little bit of that
through
magic,
line
you know?
there?
Yeah. I have an apology.
Oh, what's your apology, Dave?
2 weeks in a row. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to apologize for apologizing to Boston. So I thought they were going to sweep these guys. They immediately go out. They drop game 4, make me look like a jerk. So I'm apologizing for apologizing. They should have swept.
It's very, a little bit convoluted, but I like it.
Yeah.
That's your apology. Let's talk more about this series. Also, by the way, beyond crowning a champion in the NBA, later in the episode, I'm going to give the results for our Stone Cold Locks playoff challenge. I'm going to let you guys know which one of you Patreon supporters won that with the best predictions throughout the entire playoffs. But let's take a quick break. We'll be back to talk about the Celtics. All right, Dave. So you said they could have swept. The Celtics could have swept, but then, of course, in game 4, they got obliterated, just absolutely hammered. It was not close. A lot of the guys had bad games for the Celtics. I personally, just like I really enjoyed that there was the immediate karma of like Exum not shooting the heave, Peyton Pritchard shooting the heave. I actually liked this blowout for the specific reason of it made it easier for me to digest this Celtics championship when we look at it in a historical context. Maybe some people found it more confusing. You're like, well, why didn't they just take care of business? But for me, I feel somewhat relieved that the Celtics did not win the final 11 games of the playoffs, did not finish with the 4th best winning percentage in the postseason ever, did not finish with maybe one of the best net ratings in the postseason ever. Because I feel like maybe in historical context, if I saw, hey, this team won 64 games, finished 7 games ahead of everybody in the regular season, and then smokes the whole league in the playoffs, oh, that's one of the best teams of all time. And I don't feel that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Right. Maybe this is one of the best teams of all time. But I did like that the fact that this one 40-point loss in the finals relieved a lot of that. You're like, oh, yeah. I mean, absolute best team in the NBA, deserving title winner, but I don't have to now worry how to like place this team historically.
We don't have to write a dissertation on why they're not one of the best teams ever. Let me ask you a question. Okay. So how long do you think we'll remember this team?
I think it's hard to say. And a lot of that has to do with the future. Are they now going to roll off? Yeah. Like, can they be the first team to repeat, in the last 7-8 years? Like, could they, is this the start of, maybe a dynastic run? I thought it was interesting that your colleague, John Hollinger, wrote an article about parity in the NBA. We've talked about it. You have lower seeds, 5 seeds, 7 seeds, 6 seeds making the finals, but maybe there isn't parity. Maybe the Celtics are a super team because they did dominate the whole playoffs and they dominated the regular season. So maybe they go on a run here. So I think if they win next year, we are going to definitely remember like, oh, wow, that Celtics team was amazing. If it was just a flash in the pan, we're like, yeah, I mean, they were there several years in a row. They were on the cusp and that was the year they broke through.
Do you feel the same way about the Nuggets from last year though? Because it felt like that team felt, and maybe it was because of Jokic in particular and his dominance, but it just, I don't know. It felt like a team that was going to be around for a while. I mean, and realistically, they could be back next year in the finals. I mean, this is a team that they're not going anywhere. But I really, when I compare Denver and this year's Boston team, I just expected Denver to be the team that kind of was going on a run, right? Yeah. Not Boston. And then next season, like it does feel like the vibe has kind of shifted a little bit. At the start of the playoffs, I wasn't thinking about Boston running next year because I assumed they would run into an issue, But now that they've won, I think our shift of focus. I mean, I'm talking to the guys because we record Nerder today, and it's literally, oh, can they do it again next year?
I think that's a natural response, right? I mean, anytime a team wins, don't you feel like, oh, this is sustainable? And I think the Nuggets, if they ran out of gas based on their previous year's deep playoff run, and then the Celtics are going to be faced with that same challenge this year. And I think once a team wins, you're always like, wow, that team is definitely the best. And who's ever going to beat this team? And then they eventually lose. So I don't know. I do think we expected, again, the consensus coming into this year was Nuggets in the West, Celtics in the East.
Right.
And we didn't get that because a little bit because the Spurs beat the Nuggets in the regular season on a weird game. Devontae Graham game winner. Also, like a week or two before that, remember Kyrie Irving hit that left-handed 18-foot buzzer beater that also was a loss for the Nuggets. So then the Nuggets end up against the Timberwolves. They blow a 20-point lead in game 7 in the second half. And so for whatever reason, the Mavericks come through. But also when you speak about when the Celtics win, you're like, oh, can they repeat? How long of a run can they go on? There's this like narrative stuff about like, oh, we thought Jokic was clearly the best player in the NBA. Now Luka Doncic gets out of the West. You're like, oh, maybe Luka is much closer to Jokic. And then Luka, but we got to talk about him in the finals in a second. Like, not a very good finals at all from Luka Doncic. So I think some of it we're just prisoner of the moment with how these things go. And I do think maybe the Jokic story was bigger. Maybe I'm just biased because I'm so into Nikola Jokic. But like him being that 2-time MVP, and then he breaks through, you're like, whoa, we're on the cusp of an all-time great player. Like Tatum and Brown, it's more of a...
We know them.
Yeah.
They're not new.
Yeah.
The Boston Celtics are one of the most covered teams in the NBA.
Yep.
So to a certain degree, like all of the discourse over the last few weeks, of which I've been stirring up because, why not? It's part of what I get paid to do. But a lot of the discourse in where, oh, we don't believe in this team, blah, blah, blah. It's because we've seen these guys for so long doing the same thing over and over again. And I would argue, like, again, you keep rolling this game out there. They're gonna have a weird game like game 4 every now and then because this team just is gonna do that. But the talent has been undeniable. Again, this team they were in the finals 2 years ago.
Yep.
Right. This is largely the same team. That Marcus Smart trade really just
what do you want to talk about?
The issues that
remind me. I don't remember a Marcus Smart trade. Was that?
Yeah. Listen.
Was my team involved with that? I'm fuzzy. I can't remember the details.
Really, I don't know. But that really put Boston over the top. So
again, I mean,
it's a great team success story. More so than like with the Nuggets, it was very much a Nikola Jokic story.
Yeah. And
the Celtics are more like the 04 Pistons or the Spurs.
So I know that there's that thought that this is the first title winner in a while where you wouldn't consider one of the players on the team to be like one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 players in the NBA. Right. But like that Pistons team, I feel like Tatum and Brown are better than anyone on that Pistons team. Oh, yeah. So that's like 2 players better than any Pistons player from
maybe
that
it's more
year.
like the Spurs then. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they have so much talent. At every position they have talent.
The final return of that Marcus Smart trade, which is like, again, like they sent away Marcus Smart. And then if you combine it with there's the Porzingis deal. And then there's the Drew Holiday deal. Like the final tally was something like they sent out Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, and Robert Williams. And I think just one cumulative, I think it was just one first-round pick, a 2029 first-round pick. And for that, they got back Porzingis and Drew Holiday and also future seconds. So like that's an incredible return. I think when we talk about the Porzingis deal, this feels lost to time to me. Like the Porzingis price was cheap because his contract was expiring and he had injury concerns. Like that's not a bad deal by the Wizards because they're like, he's going to leave in free agency or he's going to opt in or we're going to trade him and get something for him. It is still confusing how the Celtics walked away with 2 first-round picks in that deal.
Also, by the way, people forget he was hurt last summer.
Yeah.
He missed the World Cup. He had this plantar fascia issue. I mean,
he was hurt this playoffs.
He was hurt this playoff. He was hurt literally for the majority of the playoffs. I mean, he didn't play. What did he play? 8 games?
Who gets more credit for the title run, Dave? Is it Zach Kleiman helping the Celtics out with that he helped out the Porzingis deal and also gave them ammunition to acquire Drew Holiday, or Joe Cronin for refusing to trade Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat.
Do we think Damian Lillard takes the Miami Heat? Like,
no, but then Drew Holiday is still maybe on the Bucks. That's what
true.
No. This is not a pro Miami argument. This is the Bucks do not send Drew Holiday.
I've been trying to play the what if Drew Holiday is still on the Bucks game.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, do they even wind up hiring Doc Rivers? You know, I don't know. The defense probably doesn't have the same problems to start the season.
I mean, this is a bigger, I don't want to get into this on the Celtics day.
Yeah.
But this goes back to maybe one of my things where like, well, who's the better basketball player, period? Damian Lillard or Drew Holiday? And it's like, what do you need? Are you starting?
I'm just going to apply some chapstick.
Why don't you apply some lip balm right now? You're fine.
Yeah, that's it. I'm not going to answer.
It's like, all right, Drew can't be the 1 or 2 on your team, but like,
who's going to the Olympics?
I don't even remember anymore.
Who, if you were putting together an Olympic roster, who are you choosing?
Oh man,
Keith, GM of USA Basketball.
Give me a Drew.
Yeah, Drew.
I like guys. I like the connected piece guys.
I like guys who win.
I mean,
Drew Holiday.
Damian Lillard, unbelievable offensive player, but
two-time champ.
Only cares you, I think, a certain degree.
Yeah. Well, and this is, we talked about this. Me and Mo and Seth have talked about this quite a bit. I'm done with the calling a guy a two-way player. I'm calling guys like Damian Lillard one-way players now.
Yeah.
He's a one-way guy.
One-way guy.
So if you're a one-way guy, and unless you're Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic offensively,
yep,
you can't be like a top 12 guy to me.
But even Jokic is not a one-way guy.
Right. I know.
Yeah. I mean, Jokic can play D.
Yeah.
And he's an elite defensive rebounder. Like,
yeah. Luka also can play defense.
Dude, Luka pulling out one defensive game. Like, I couldn't get over. Everyone does it. I can't believe this actually happened. It was this storyline. Brian Windhorst calls out Luka, and Luka shows up motivated to game 4. Does anyone believe that happened? Like, I mean, Brian Windhorst did call him out, and it was funny and amazing.
It was.
But like the idea of like, you know what? I wasn't going to try in the NBA Finals until Brian Windhorst called me out. Doesn't make any sense.
I love that. I love it so much. I don't really we've talked about this, Keith. I didn't see the Windhorst thing.
Oh, okay.
I saw the memes.
Yeah.
But I didn't see that. Because I don't watch,
it was just about, I mean,
it's so funny.
We talked about it from games 2 and games 3.
Yeah.
Where Luka was just giving up runouts and stuff. So many pick six turnovers and things, and complaining to the refs and all this.
The foul baiting and falling down. This used to be a thing with the Boston Celtics.
Yep.
Is that you could run on them because Jason Tatum would complain about not getting a foul call. Nikola Jokic, remember he used to get the frustration fouls all the time?
All the time.
And it would take him out of games.
Yep.
And he went away and he stopped doing that. And hey, what do you know? MVP. Luka has to stop the bitching.
Yeah.
It's off-putting. Honestly, I don't want to watch it. You seem like
that goes to the aesthetics for me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, be a man, not to.
We got to break you of that, Dave.
You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Be tough. Come on, be a competitor.
We got down with the patriarchy.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we were talking women's basketball, I'd say be a woman. Be an adult is really what it is. Don't be a baby.
The Celtics. The story of this beyond, maybe team building, beyond my own personal beliefs about basketball ethics, the Celtics defense was outrageous. Just outrageous.
So good. Al Horford, by the way.
Al Horford, incredible.
I have been calling him old for 5 years.
Yep.
Makes no sense how good he looks defensively out there.
How good could the Thunder have been if they didn't shut down Horford? And, although that was always what if that Horford sabbatical that year that recharged him for his end of his career?
The strangest season
ever.
Any player that's still in the league.
Horford was great tying the whole like defense together, but just like the connection between those guards, Drew and Derek, and then the fact that Jalen and Jason get after it. This team, like a lot of this series, we can point to the Mavericks shooting stats, particularly the 3-point stats. But like, I think one of the reasons Luka looks tired and Kyrie looks tired was the fact that they were facing these elite defenders and they couldn't get around them. And like, when you can't beat your man, that makes you look tired. Maybe they were the same amount of worn out as they were against the Thunder.
Kyrie wasn't getting past Al Horford.
I mean,
now that's something else. I don't know what it is, but Kyrie was exhausted. They were working him. Jaylen Brown, by the way, the difference that when he is playing with force, like he has all this whole season and during the playoffs, playing with force. I don't mean physical. Point of attack defense with his strength. I mean, Luka is not used to guys being able to body him like that. You mentioned Luka getting ripped. I mean, it happened this entire series. I can't remember. I mean, I brought it up last week. I can't remember seeing a team bother Luka's handle like that. Like, he really was just shook.
Yeah.
He was shook. And so between the length and the strength, I mean, you think about it, look at what they've done. Like, they pretty much built, like, this is a perfect Danny Ainge team. It's 4 strong, interchangeable, wing guard defenders and a big who can float around, protect the rim, and not die on a switch. This is what Danny Ainge died to make this team. Brad Stevens completed the vision, imagine if they still had Aaron Nesmith on this team, how good he looked in the playoffs, right? Like, think about that. That was a Danny Ainge draft pick. Like, this is smart NBA team building. And this was like, when I first started doing this job, I used to talk about how my dream was a bunch of guys who were 6'7" and one guy who was 6'10".
Yeah.
That's my dream basketball team. And then the Celtics pulled that off.
Yeah. And also like that. So like, they couldn't keep Nesmith. They wanted to get Brogdon. Like, that was a thing. And also, by the way, as much as like, maybe I kind of joke about the Grizzlies hooking up the Celtics with the Marcus Smart deal, that just evened the score. I think all debts have been paid off for the Celtics giving us Desmond Bane. The Celtics just being like, we don't want Desmond Bane. We would love to move the Enes Kanter salary here, Grizzlies. Just take Desmond Bane. So all debts are paid now. Okay, we're even. The shooting numbers. So I think this is mainly Celtics defense related, but the shooting numbers, specifically the 3-point numbers for the Mavericks in the finals, are stark. Luka in the finals, he had a 1 for 21 stretch on 3-pointers. But he finished the finals 11 for 45 on threes, 24%. Kyrie, 28%. PJ Washington, 27%. Derek Jones Jr., 25%. Those guys against the Thunder and Timberwolves, Luka was 41%, Kyrie was 40%, PJ Washington was 38%, and Derek Jones Jr. was 40%.
Derek Jones Jr. was shooting like 47% from the corners in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he's 33% for his career. And that was coming into the finals. So
I do think the Celtics get a lot of the credit there, but also there is some variance.
It's shot variance.
There is some shot variance.
So I've been looking forward to us doing this post-final show, Keith, because I want to ask you, is this the most make or miss championship?
I'm going to say no, because
I mean, it might have been the Bucks, but
I'll tell. I know 100% who it was.
Oh,
all right. So Dave, I have this in my notes for a different topic.
Okay.
So this is what our 6th straight different champion. And one thing about this series, like with the defense, like the Celtics defense was great. Also, the Mavericks defense was good.
Yeah.
Like the Mavericks held the Celtics to I would say 109 offensive rating. Yeah. Okay. So like in one of those games, it's heavily swayed, of course, in a 5-game series by the 1-game-4 dud by the Celtics. But in these 6 straight seasons with a different champion, we've seen a lot of much lower scores. And you asked about the shooting variance series. The Celtics, I think, only made 33% of their threes for the series. The Mavericks as a team made 31%. But among these last 6 champions, Celtics, Nuggets, Warriors, Bucks, Lakers, Raptors, which team had the best offensive rating among those? And that answers your question that you set this up with. What's the most shooting variance title we've had out of those?
Who was it?
It's the Lakers by a lot.
Oh,
the Lakers in the bubble.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Had the best offensive rating we've had for any team in the last
Anthony
6
Davis
finals.
Shot like 62% from the mid range during that bubble.
I haven't looked this up. I'm pretty sure the Lakers that year were like 29th or 30th in the NBA in 3-point percentage.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden KCP is just amazing. And Anthony Davis is hitting all his shots, including buzzer beating 3-pointers over a Mason Plumlee, who's not guarding him for some reason. Yeah, I think the biggest shot variance champ of the last few years, I would say it's the Lakers that year. I mean, I don't think, so that's what I'm saying. Like the Celtics again, if the Celtics made threes, this is your sweep.
This is a blowout.
And this is uncomfortable to watch. This is like, oh my Lord.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, maybe, I feel like the Warriors were pretty comfortable in their title win. Maybe not. I don't remember the Bucks, Suns. Those are some pretty high offensive ratings.
Yeah, and the Bucks' whole game plan was kind of built on taking advantage of the variance. You know, it was what the Bucks are doing. I think is a better version of Budenholzer ball.
Yeah, because
they guard guys too. I mean, it's again, they have an amazing roster. This is why we kind of hammer them when they fail to live up to expectations. You could just send the Boston Celtics, by the way, to the Olympics, and we would win the gold medal.
Has Horford played for the Dominican team?
Maybe he has.
I can't remember all these things.
And Porzingis, obviously.
Porzingis doesn't need to play.
Luke Cornett's good enough for Olympic basketball.
Send Xavier Tillman. We
just need Biggs to rebound. That's it.
Jaylen Brown. Okay. Jaylen Brown wins finals MVP. After game.
What does this do for his legacy?
Right after the break with that one. No, the Jason Kidd, we were all like, oh, he's playing mind games in the press. Because early in this series, he's like, Jaylen Brown is their best player. We're like, oh, that crafty kid. Also, it's like, oh, Cal Bear's got to stick together. I like that. That's pretty cool. That's fun. But then lo and behold, it was like, oh, does Jason Kidd know ball? Because Jaylen Brown was awesome.
Can I just say how confused I was by this whole thing?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, he's playing mind games.
Yep.
No, Jaylen Brown he was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
Yeah.
He was the most impactful Celtic in the playoffs. If you're saying two-way impact in both sides of the ball. I think Jaylen Brown, I mean, you just felt him every single game. I mean, in the series, even the bad game, even the dud game, he still had some stuff that happened. It was like, I think he had a couple of dunks in that game that, when they were making a little bit of a fake run.
We're going to hear more about his bad game stats in the awards segment of the program.
Is he their best player?
I still think it's Tatum, but I don't know if it's like, in my mind, if you took one away, it would be more damaging to the Celtics if you took away Tatum. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've just been
he's a Swiss
brainwashed by the years of Tatum being the superior player.
Yeah. And
maybe Jaylen has caught him and or surpassed him. I mean, it really is a symbiotic thing. You got to have both, to be as good. But Jaylen Brown, defense, like we've talked about, defense so good on Luka. And then his offense, he kept making important shots. Anytime in this series, it felt like the Mavs would be on a run or get within 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever. He was always like making like an 18-footer. His passing, so Tatum's passing was huge, but like Jaylen Brown's passing was huge in this game. By the way, Tatum, the playmaker. I mean, Tatum's game 5 was unreal. The shot making was actually there. He had 9 assists in the first half. Jason Tatum did in the first half of game 5. That's the most assists he's ever had in a half of any game. And he's doing this in the finals. So
I'm going to say something that
Yeah.
You rarely hear someone say about a player. Jason Tatum next season, I'd love to see him shoot fewer threes.
Well, I'd love to see the whole team shoot fewer threes, but
fewer
that's just
threes
me.
from Jason Tatum. His game is so much better when he gets 2 feet in the paint, and he can drive and he can distribute, and he should be a lower volume 3-point shooter. He's not good at it. He's way better at other stuff.
So if we're talking about Celtics repeating, if we're talking about fixing this team that just, I think, won 80 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they won. 60, yes, they won 80 games this year.
Here's what they're bad at.
Here is what this 80-win Celtics team is bad at.
Here's how you fix the Celtics.
Maybe shoot fewer bad threes.
This is the time. Please call the episode "How to Fix the Celtics."
How to fix the Celtics. Done. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like if you defend this well, you can shoot 33% from three. Because again, 30, the math of 33% from three, that equals 50% from two. And
that's it.
That's the whole analytics issue, or the answer for analytics. But hey, maybe if they shot, maybe they get that to 36%.
Well, that's for me, that's where you go from the good look or the okay look to the great look. This is, again, I'm going to always swing it back to the Spurs because that's, I think, where basketball peaked.
Yeah.
But that 2014 Spurs team, their whole thing was great look, not good look. We want to work for the great look.
Yeah.
And they didn't shoot a ton of threes, but they shot a super high percentage. Now, look, man, Boston is going to win. The talent wins out. And it is a math issue. And so if you just jack up 43s a game and you play defense, they should win 65, 66 games again next year, depending on, Paul George going to Philly and what that means. And Damian Lillard maybe getting traded again or whatever's going to happen, whatever the Knicks do. But you can play the math game. I just think that they could be better if Jason Tatum didn't buy into that and if he actually bought into this distributor thing.
I would just like
at 8 or 9 assists a game for a season. That is doable for him.
Ooh, yeah, maybe so.
Changer, right? Like it's a game changer. It makes them, to me, it gives them something to go to when they start to fall apart. Because when they're falling apart, Jason Tatum doesn't touch the basketball. And again, this is a team that, what'd you say? They won how many games? 80?
80.
Yeah.
I was going to poke some holes.
They still have low-hanging fruit to improve.
I was going to poke some holes in your math situation. I would just like to point out that I believe the Grizzlies this year, top 10 defense, and we're I believe 5th in the NBA in 3-pointers attempted per game. So they were shooting 43s a game, playing good defense. We're horrible. You need talent, boys and girls.
Yeah, you gotta have
you gotta have some talent.
You gotta have some talent.
Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be back with some listener submitted questions. It is now time for the croissant questioner. Patrick Kurtner wants to know, will this Boston playoff run finally get Sam Cassell a head coaching gig?
Probably. Well, maybe. It's tough because there aren't that many.
I mean, are the Lakers or the Cavs going to hire him?
I guess that's the question. Sam Cassell is probably a pretty good coach.
I assume he's a great coach.
It's weird that he has been an assistant for as long as he has. And yet, like, again, no offense, but JJ Redick's getting interviewed by the Lakers without ever coaching a game or being a part of a program or, doing any of the actual things that are important to coaching a basketball team. And Sam Cassell just plugs away.
So it looks like
now, if I were to say, I don't want Sam Cassell. I don't want good coaches to go to the Lakers. And it's not because of the Lakers per se, but it's because of LeBron and what it means for basketball coaches going there. I think Darvin Ham's next stop he's probably going to look a lot better as a coach.
So, sorry, I thought of a few things.
Sure.
I have draft in my brain. The Lakers are taking Bronny James in the second round because Rich Paul's not going to let him get drafted by anybody else. Is that what we're? Yeah, I mean, that's
I don't know.
That's already penciled in.
The Bronny James thing is very boring to me.
Yeah. Also, I think it seems like it's trending that the Lakers might / are maybe going to hire JJ Redick. I do feel like it feels like the Lakers have like ad marketing consultants going about this hire, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're too cheap to. Like, I feel like they
if
maybe
you're
more
hired
than
JJ, he's got tons of money, right? He's not a working coach, so you can pay him less.
But I
He's
still
not a
feel
guy
like
who's required, like he doesn't need money, right?
I still feel like it's a PR loss if they hire him at this point, but maybe not. Maybe I'm
I
wrong.
agree. I think it's a goofy move. It's an objectively goofy move.
Like if they did it before the whole Danny Hurley thing happened, maybe you'd be like, all right, fine. But now it just feels strange. Maybe they were holding out for the finals, and maybe they'll interview Sam Cassell or something.
I mean, it would be Doc Rivers, by the way, right now, if Doc had just stayed in the booth.
Well, did you see Jeff Van Gundy? I mean, because I was thinking it would have been it would have been Tyronn Lue if they just would have been willing to pay him the market rate 4 years ago.
With the Ballmer money, though,
Ballmer money bringing in Jeff Van Gundy to be lead assistant for Tyronn Lue.
I'm very curious how that's going to work.
And then apparently for the Cavs coaching situation, I think the rumors are that James Borrego maybe is going to end up with that job. Yeah. Another question. Magnus, the question master, asks, barring another pandemic, we likely don't get another Joe Johnson comeback. But absent a Joe Johnson comeback, which players who haven't played in the NBA since 2022 could you see making an opening day roster? Dave, you have any ideas of guys who haven't been in the league for a few years?
Well, when did Dwight Howard last play?
I think Dwight Howard's a great one. I don't even know.
I think Dwight Howard could be on a team next year.
Jokic stopper Dwight Howard.
Maybe.
Why not?
What about Jokic backup?
Jokic backup Dwight Howard.
I mean, with them playing together, that would actually be amazing.
Did you remember? Do you remember? This is a question for the listeners. Dear listener, do you remember Isaiah Thomas played in the playoffs this year?
Played in the playoffs.
Amazing stuff. I think these aren't the sexiest names, but I just saw reports that both these guys have been trying out for NBA teams. What about Mario Hezonja or Sam Decker?
Hey, I still believe in Mario Hezonja. Just put the ball in his hands, play him as a small ball 4. Let him go to work. I wanted to see him play some small ball 5 internationally.
What about Taiwanese champion
Boogie Cousins? That's right. That's right.
I don't know.
Charles Dubé-Bray. Shout out to my guy, Charles Dubé-Bray, the head coach of
nice.
the Taiwanese League champions.
Of the Beer Leopards?
That's right.
Can you get me some Beer Leopard merch?
I bet I could. I'll
give me a Beer Leopard trucker hat would do wonders for me.
Yeah. That's honestly is my really good friend. Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for the questions, guys. If you want your question answered on air, you have to be a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Also, if you join the Patreon, you can get involved with the Slack and you get at least one bonus episode a month. You can also play games like the Stone Cold Locks Challenge. And we will now crown the winner. Here are from 10 to 1, the top 10 finishers in the Stone Cold Locks Playoff Challenge. This has been a prediction game round by round of picking who will win. The grand prize winner, of course, wins a gift certificate to the NBAstore.com. Also wins the cash prize for those of you who bought in. Again, I haven't checked to see if this person actually bought in, but a good amount of cash going to the top winner. We had, 53 competitors. Top 10. Number 10, Joe Y. Number 9, Bobby Payton. Number 8, me. That's right. Number 7, Adam. Number 6, Terrell. Number 5, Henry Evans. Number 4, John Burr. Our top 3 finishers in the Stone Cold Locks Playoff Challenge. Number 3, Magnus. Number 2, Gil. And that means our winner is James Winskill. Congratulations, James. All these guys correctly picked the Celtics. The most interesting thing to me, Henry, who finished in 5th, would have won the whole thing if he hadn't made a guess for who the finals MVP winner would have been. He incorrectly guessed the finals MVP winner, which was an optional question, and lost points. If he had not, he would have won.
Wow.
There you go, Henry. But congratulations to James. Yeah.
Way to take the heave.
Way to go for the heave. You went for it. You went for it. You tried to win. You play to win the game.
Also, Anthony Irwin, friend of the show.
Friend of the show.
He's saying JJ Redick's a done deal.
All right. Well, there we go. It's some breaking news.
Done deal.
If we trust Anthony Irwin, you say friend of the show. I might say enemy. We have a long running, slight rivalry.
Anthony Irwin is live right now saying that JJ Redick is the next head coach of the Lakers. So
I'm kidding. Anthony and I are good buddies. So anyways, congratulations to James. Congratulations to, honestly, all the patrons. If you played, you won.
Yeah.
Good job, everybody.
Congrats for being a Patriot.
If you want to get involved with all this stuff, patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. All right. That was basically the award segment for our listeners, but the actual award segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes, still has to be covered. We had in the last week a few finals games, and we have to name who had the worst box score. Our honorable mentions: Peyton Pritchard, 0 for 4. Tim Hardaway Jr., 0 for 5. Svi Mikhailuk, world champion, 1 for 7. Derek White, 2 for 8. PJ Washington, 3 for 9. Our 3 nominees, as they occurred chronologically over the last week: Jaylen Brown, game 4. You said he had some nice dunks or whatever. 3 for 12. 10 points, was a -28. Had 2 assists, 1 rebound, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. Our next nominee, Jaylen Brown, game 5. There's no way this guy won finals MVP, right? With 2 iShop nominations in a 5-game series?
Was he 7 of 23?
7 for 23. Had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 1 turnover, 4 personal fouls. And then Kyrie Irving, game 5. 5 for 16, 15 points, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. So, Dave, who's it going to be? Game 4, Jaylen Brown, 3 for 12, 10 points. Game 5, Jaylen Brown, 7 for 23, 21 points, 8 boards, 6 assists. Or game 5, Kyrie, 5 for 16, 15 points, 9 assists.
I think Dave, you got to go Jaylen Brown. I think he gets the double dip.
Legitimately, it's the game 5.
I think it's Jaylen Brown.
We have not had a double dip winner, of course, since Kobe Bryant. Finals MVP with a 6 for 24. This show did not exist back then. But he would have. Congratulations.
That's a perfect, hey, by the way, perfect Kobe tribute for Jaylen Brown to overshadow Jason Tatum.
Jaylen Brown, who went 10 for 35 from the field over the final 2 games of a 5-game series, finals MVP. I'm not even taking away from it. I believe in it. I picked him. The reason I finished in the top 8 or top 10 of Stone Cold Locks Challenge, I picked Jaylen Brown to win finals MVP.
Well, he's their best player.
He is their best player. But congratulations, Jaylen Brown, finals MVP winner on this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. And Dave, season's over.
That's it.
What are you looking forward to now? Or what do you want? Do you want to reflect on something? What are your big takeaways from this season? I'm always forward looking. I'm always looking to see who's the first contract that's going to leak. The NBA triple warned everybody not to leak any contract information the night of the finals, even though it was legal. They once the finals were over, apparently you could start negotiating, or at midnight you can start negotiating with your own players. So, but no one has leaked a deal yet.
Good
that we know of. But what do you want to close up shop with here, Dave?
I hope that next season we don't have to go through 3 months, 4 months, or whatever it was before we finally bullied the league into calling the games like basketball games. Ooh. Instead of like a basketball exhibition. So my biggest takeaway is that they've played in our face with the rules of the game. And as soon as it became a big enough deal, and got enough buzz behind it, and people started asking the commissioner questions about style of play and the flopping and the fouling, they fixed it. Literally overnight, they fixed it. They didn't say anything about it. They just acted like, kind of tried to gaslight us a little bit. Well, we don't know what you're talking about.
They did gaslight us.
We don't have the numbers. Yeah. Well, because they're bullshit. Excuse me, Keith. Mark the time on that one. And so I hope that next season we don't get any more of BS. I'll self-censor on that.
That's
what I'm looking for.
One of the more delightful changes. They just midstream said,
we can fix this.
We're calling the game differently now.
Yeah.
I think
for 7 years,
really benefited the Timberwolves.
Yeah. Benefited everyone. It benefits the league. It's more watchable. Like you're not insulting my senses as a sports person, much less sports fan, where and again, stop rewarding guys for falling down. Luka Doncic falls down too much, and he paid for that in the finals.
So those offensive rating numbers I was pulling from the last 6 years of the NBA Finals, a lot of that is because they ref better.
Yeah,
because they stopped calling so many ridiculous fouls. I'm with you, man. I hope not only that, I hope they build on this. I'm not saying I want to see the scores dip necessarily, but like build on this. Get rid of the egregious foul stuff that we talk about all the time. The offensive players baiting the fouls, and then also if we start working on those travels on the catch, I'd be in favor of that. Also, one thing, this was mind blowing to me. The end of Game 5 of the finals, they went commercial free.
Yeah.
YouTube TV, I don't mind giving them a shout out because they paid for a commercial free crunch time, and everything we've said about the NBA and improving speed of play, improving the watchability. A lot of the drawbacks are always, well, they're not going to do that because you have all those extra timeouts for ads, for commercials, and they have these reviews so you can have ads and commercials. If they start just selling off the final 2 minutes of crunch time ad free from whoever, well, then why don't we now just have, I don't need it the whole game because they're going to start putting things over the screen where I can't even see it.
Yeah.
They're going to put the game up in a little box in the corner.
The jerseys are going to be like, they're going to switch to soccer jerseys. Yeah. The t-shirts are going to come back. They're going to have ads. Guys are going to start getting forced tattoo advertisements.
They're going to start overlaying. They're going to just have computer graphic ads on the player's skin. They're going to give them fake tattoos. Mm-hmm. No, we're gonna have a whole screen that just says Air Emirates, and then in the top right corner there's gonna be a little basketball game on it. No, but honestly, if we don't have all these artificial stoppages to cram in commercials, imagine how brilliant the game could be. Maybe it is just saying you have a sponsor where Mike Breen reads off the copy, every 90 seconds for the final 2 minutes of the game. I can deal with that. But anyways,
YouTube TV, where you can watch the game with no ads, but it's going to be 3 minutes behind.
It's going to be a little bit of a delay. Anyways, now, of course, free agency starts. One of my favorite times of the season. We'll start getting some trades and things. The Lakers are going to hire a coach. Summer League, is less than 3 weeks away. The NBA draft is a week from Wednesday. So the content just ramps up from here. So I'm excited to get into it. But anyways, if you want to support this program, do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Dave, thanks as always for coming on and talking ball with me. Listeners, you guys are the best. Really appreciate you. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fastbreak break, man. You understand?